All right, so thank you all for joining. If we haven't met, my name is Holly. I'm going to lead us in a 60-minute yin yoga class today. After that 60 minutes, I'm also leading an optional 15-minute journaling reflection session. Of course, it's optional. If you don't want to stay for that, you can just quietly leave the Zoom. But yeah, at the end, we will have some time for journaling and reflection, which is something I like to do at the first Tuesday class of every month. So this class is a little bit geared towards reflecting on the past year and then kind of looking forward to the year to come. So happy New Year, happy first Tuesday of 2021. And for some of us, maybe first yoga class of the year as well. So welcome. We're gonna start with a breathing exercise. Come to the middle of your mat and just sit in a comfortable position. You can sit crisscross applesauce or an easy pose with one foot in front of the other, whatever feels good for you. And we're going to start with a breathing exercise called Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. And it is as it sounds. You're going to alternate which nostril you're breathing out of. I'll show you real quick and then I'll walk us through it. So the basic idea is you're going to exhale completely, plug one nostril, inhale through the open nostril, plug, hold both, release the other nostril, exhale through that. Inhale through the nostril, hold, release, exhale. So you alternate which nostril you're breathing through. And this is believed to help kind of even out energies. So again, just finding yourself in a comfortable position. You're going to start by sealing your lips. Place your right thumb on your right nose. And I'm not nearing you, so it might look like I'm placing my left thumb on my left nose, but place your right thumb on right nose. We're going to start with the left side intentionally. Exhale completely. And begin. Inhale through your left nostril for 1, 2, 3, 4. Plug both nostrils, hold for one moment, and then release right nostril, exhale through right nostril for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through right nose, 1, 2, 3, 4. Plug and hold. Release left nostril, exhale through left nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through your left nose. Hold. Exhale through right nose. Inhale through right nostril. Hold. Exhale through left nostril. Let's continue the alternate nostril breathing for 2 more minutes. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed and your weight evenly distributed on both sit bones. You might notice that it's easier to breathe through one nostril than the other. In Ayurvedic medicine, we believe that the left side body is the yin side, the lunar side, more feminine, a little bit more like dark energy, not in a bad way, but just cooler, darker, nighttime, a little bit more relaxed. And then the right side of the body is the solar side, the masculine side, the more energized side. So if you find that, it's easier to breathe through your right nose, you might be in a more energetic state. If you find that it's easier to breathe through your left nose, you might be in a more sleepy state. And then alternating the breathing is meant to bring us into a nice space where we're not completely tired and lethargic, but we're also, able to control our energy and control our movements. Let's do 2 more full rounds. Whenever you're done, you can just return your arm down and maybe give your shoulders or neck a little bit of a stretch there. For me, it always kind of bothers my right shoulder using that. So again, the idea with that breathing exercise, alternate nostril, is to even out the left and right solar, lunar, masculine, female, feminine sides of the body in both Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine. They're very heavy on left and right. I would be remiss to say that I do not believe in binaries. So while I believe in like solar and lunar, masculine, feminine, I also believe in sunrise, sunset, people that are not binary. I believe in, you know, rather than black and white, the gray areas as well. So in yin yoga class, it does come from the idea of a more lunar, relaxed left side style of yoga, yin yoga, as opposed to yang yoga, which is more energetic, powerful yoga. But just keep in mind as we explore the ideas of left, right, solar, lunar, stuff like that, that there's that gray area, right, in our own lives and in the world as well. So with that being said, we're going to turn and lie down on our backs for the first posture of class. And it's a fan favorite. It's Bananasana, or banana pose. So as you lie on your back with the head to the front of your mat and feet towards the back of your mat, take a moment to picture your favorite banana in your head. It can be super ripe or green or perfectly yellow. It can be Chiquita, Dole, Trader Joe's, Fair Trade, organic, whatever that banana is for you. But notice the C curve shape in the banana, right? We're going to make that shape with our body. So bring your feet close together. Bring your arms overhead and start to walk your feet and hands to the right side of your mat, stretching the left side body. You're welcome to cross one foot on top of the other, maybe left foot on top of right foot, and that'll get more of an IT band outer left thigh stretch. You can also place one hand on top of the other or keep feet or hands side by side. And we're gonna hold here for a full 5 minutes. If you see me playing with my phone, it is simply me timing our postures so that they are not too long or too short, but just right. Okay. So again, we're doing what's called yin yoga. It's long holds of postures in a more yang style of yoga, like 26-2 yoga, vinyasa, power yoga, ashtanga, stuff like that. There's a lot of movements, and you know, at most you hold a posture 30 seconds, a minute, maybe 2 minutes if there's time, right? But we're not holding postures for like 4 to 5 minutes. In those more yang power styles of yoga, you are often contracting muscles to make a shape with your body. In this yin style of yoga, we are trying to relax muscles to make a shape with the body. So rather than forcing yourself into a shape, you're going to relax and melt into the shape. Right away, if what you're doing is not comfortable for you, please feel free to adjust and then just try to return to stillness. So I've shared a little bit about what yin yoga is. Again, long holds of gentle postures. I'll share the goals of yin yoga are to relax both body and mind. For me, one of the goals when I practice this style of yoga is working on my patience. I can be impatient and think like, how can only 1 minute have gone by? I feel like I've been here forever. So it's working on that mental component. And then on a physical level, we're working not just into muscle tightness, but we're really working into fascia, connective tissue, and joints. Again, when you hold a posture for 30 seconds or a minute, you certainly get a stretch to the muscles, but it often doesn't go much deeper than that. When you hold, when you really like melt into a posture for a long period of time, you work past muscle tightness. So with that in mind, if you were to hold a posture for say 30 seconds or a minute, right, you would kind of go quickly to your maximum. In this style of yoga, do about 70% of what you think you should be doing. Let me say that again. Do about 70% of what you think you should be doing. And if you identify as someone who always thinks that they should be doing more, and perhaps by extension, if you identify as someone who often feels like they're not enough, right? That can also be a mental, maybe even emotional, psychological, or spiritual challenge in this style of yoga. Not to push yourself deeper, but to actually be okay with just holding a posture and breathing. Notice how you're breathing. And notice where you're holding on to tension. See if you can relax into the posture, letting the floor, gravity, and the gentle banana shape of your body do the work. We're just slowly waking up the body and the spine at the beginning of class. So the spine is in a bit of a C curve. It's a gentle compression to the right side body and extension to the left side body. Again, never going to a point of pain. If at any point your mind starts to wander, it's normal. Just return your thoughts to your breath. Slow inhale through the nose. And slow exhale through the nose. And if focusing on your breath is not quite enough to hold your attention, you can also create a statement, an intention, a dedication, what in Sanskrit we would call a sankalpa for your practice. So it can be a statement like, I am worthy, or I am right where I'm meant to be, something like that. Take a slow inhale through your nose, slow exhale through your nose, and we're gonna slowly come out of the posture. Because we've been holding it for a while, please take your time. Slowly, carefully bring your hands and feet back to the center line of your mat. Bring your arms down, let your legs and arms fall open for puddle pose. So in more yang styles of yoga, we would call this, what we're doing right here, we would often call it savasana or shavasana or corpse pose, dead body pose, dead pose. And in, especially in 26 and 2 yoga, savasana is pretty strict, I would say. It's like, your feet are together and your arms are down by your sides, right? You're trying to keep your limbs close to your heart for maximum efficiency with blood flow. In yin yoga, we call it puddle pose for a reason. Think less like a corpse and more like you're a puddle, so you can open your arms and legs as much as you want. It can be nice and floppy. If lying on your back with your legs straight is uncomfortable, you are not alone in that. Couple of options: you can place a small blanket or pillow under your lower back to take pressure off of the lumbar spine, or you can simply bend your legs so your feet are on the floor and your knees rest together, and this will also take some of that pressure off of the lower back. So again, if legs straight is not comfortable for you, please feel free to bend your legs or have something supporting your lower back. Okay, let's do the other side of banana pose. So feet back together, arms over your head, and this time walk your feet to the left and your arms to the left, making a banana shape, stretching the right side body and compressing the left side body. Maybe on this side, you cross your right foot over your left foot, or one hand over the other, or maybe you just keep them side by side. Now, right away, you might notice that this side feels a little or a lot different. And that's normal. We're not symmetrical, right? You might already know why this side feels different, like an injury or, a prior surgery, right? Or you might have had no idea up until this point that, like, wow, right shoulder a lot tighter than left shoulder. That's normal too. Yoga gives us an opportunity to notice our incongruencies. It gives us an opportunity to address them, but it also gives us the opportunity to be like, you know what, my left knee is always going to be tighter than my right knee, and I'm okay with that, right? So we're just working with, what we have to work with, never forcing or fighting. Holding here for 4 more minutes. So again, yin yoga, it's long holds of postures meant to work into not just muscle tightness, but fascia and connective tissue. You want to do about 70% of what you think you should be doing. On top of that, I'll just share the 3 very simple tenets of yin yoga. Make a shape, hold a shape, breathe through your nose. So the shape we're making is a banana, right? And then from there, the goal is just to hold it. Again, if what you're doing is unsustainable or clearly just does not feel right for your body, please switch it up. Do not mold yourself into a banana shape that does not feel good, right? But that being said, please also discern the difference between moving because you need to move because what you're doing does not serve you versus, wiping sweat and, fixing your shorts all the time and constantly scratching that itch, right? Sometimes we move because being still can be a little bit scary or unfamiliar, right? A lot of us move all the time, or even when we're being sedentary, we're still, flipping through our phone or, fumbling with, what's in our hand or whatever it is. So finding true stillness is a practice the same way that all of yoga is a practice. If you find that it's hard to sit still with yourself, just practice. And again, you can return to your breath or to an intention or dedication that you've set for yourself. And if you find that the intention that you set isn't really speaking to you, of course, you can always switch it up or let it take on new meaning. Notice how you're breathing. Notice where you're holding on to tension. See if you can let it go through the exhale breath. Got about 30 seconds left. You're welcome to go a bit deeper into the posture or hold right where you are, knowing that the end is near. Just breathing into your body, slow inhale, easy exhale. Okay. As you're ready, we're going to slowly come out of it. So if one foot or hand is crossed on top of the other, uncross and then slowly bring your feet back to the center of your mat. Arms and legs down, puddle pose, breathing in and breathing out. So that's the kind of the way that this class works. We do a posture, we hold it, and then we take a puddle pose in between. Especially when we release out of the long held postures, right? Like you stretched one part of your body and you compressed the other side. So coming into a more neutral position allows for everything to kind of realign and come back together. So now both sides of your body are lengthening equally the same. Okay, we're gonna roll onto our abdomen for the next posture. Bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor, knees resting together. And then carefully roll off to one side. If you'd like, take a moment on your side, maybe hug your knees in, give yourself a big squeeze. Okay, and then keep rolling over onto your abdomen. Great. So next we're going to do a hybrid posture. I did it a couple weeks ago in class and loved it, so want to do it again. We're going to do a hybrid between Sphinx pose and frog pose. So I'm going to show you from the side. I almost said the wrong name. So we're going to start with Sphinx pose here. You're going to bend your elbows. So forearms are on the floor. Eventually, elbows will be under the shoulders, and you really want to push the floor away from you. But this can be a little bit too intense of a back bend. You're welcome to bring your arms forward so the bend in the elbows is not so acute, and then the bend in the spine will not be so acute either. Either way, you want to keep the shoulders out of the ears. That's always the hard part for me. From here, we're going to do something kind of fun with the lower body. So actually, I'm going to face the other side. We're going to start with the right side. So you're going to, bend your right leg so that eventually your knee is in line with your hip and your ankle is in line with your knee. So from a bird's eye view, the right leg would make a 90-degree angle. Now this might not happen today, right? You're welcome to have that bent leg be a little bit less, but either way, you're going to feel an opening to the hip and through the Sphinx pose upper body, a compression to the spine. So again, eventually, knee and hip in line, and then knee and ankle in line. So make sure your foot's not too far in or too far out. And this is half frog. Full frog, which we do occasionally. I'm always vocal about the fact that I do not love full frog. Full frog involves both legs at once, which is a really good hip opener and can be really intense. So doing one leg at a time is a great way to open through the hips without, putting like too much pressure on the lower body. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes total. We're already 2 minutes in. Pardon me, 1 minute in. So right away with your Sphinx upper body, notice if the shoulders are sinking into the ears, press the floor away from you. If the opening to the hip is too intense, remember that you can bring the knee down a little bit so it's not quite in line with the hip. So the more you straighten the leg, the more you'll take that pressure away from the hip. The more you bring the thigh parallel, the more you can open through the hip. Eventually think about rolling the right hip down to the floor, even if at first it's off the floor a fair amount. Take a slow inhale through your nose. And a slow exhale through your nose. Notice where you're carrying tension in your body or maybe fighting the posture. And see if you can just melt into the posture instead. Remember, doing about 70% of what you think you should be doing. We have a little less than a minute left. Everybody's doing great. Notice what parts of the body might be carrying tension that don't need to be carrying tension, like are your feet tensing up, right? Shoulders tensing. Relax your feet. Relax your hips, your pelvic floor. Getting this nice opening through the front of the body, gentle compression to the spine, and a good opening for the hip. About 15 seconds left. Okay, as you're ready, take your time first. Straighten your right leg, so both legs are long, and then slowly come down. We're gonna take a belly puddle pose or belly savasana. So if you'd like, stay on your abdomen, bend your elbows out so your head is on the floor, or look to one side with the arms down. If this is too much time on your stomach, no problem. You're welcome to lay on your side or on your back. I know for some of us, too much time on the abdomen is too much time on the abdomen. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. If you're looking to one side of the room, gently lift your head. Look to the other side so both sides of the neck get a good stretch. Okay, put your hands on the floor and push yourself up. If you're lying on your back or your side, also take your time putting your hands on the floor. Push yourself up and let's meet in a seated position. So rather than doing the other side of our frog, sphinx mashup, we're going to do a different posture first, which is called shoelace pose. So for shoelace pose, keep your left leg straight in front of you at first and bend your right leg up so that your right knee is on top of your left knee. So in frog pose, which we just did, right, we were opening the hip, and then in this one, we're closing that hip joint. Okay, so this is what we would call a half shoelace pose. The other option is to bend your left leg so that knees stack on top of one another. This might not be accessible for some folks, and that's super normal. Sometimes when people think, oh, like half shoelace is a modification, or because we call it half shoelace, it must be like less than full shoelace, but actually this is a really wonderful and different stretch where you get more of a hamstring stretch. One is not better than the other, they're just different. Having both legs bent is going to be more of a hip and knee opening. Having the bottom leg straight is more of a hamstring stretch. So pick whatever shape is speaking to you. And then we have some options with the upper body. I will give you 3 options. Option 1 for a wrist stretch looks kind of funny, but you're just going to put your hands under your armpits and then let the elbows drop so you get a nice wrist stretch. This is option 1. Option 2, where you get more of a hamstring stretch or hip opener, you can place your hands on the floor and then flip your palms down. And again, you get a wrist stretch this way. Option 3 is eagle pose arms. So if your right knee is on top, just make note of what knee is on top. If right knee is on top, bring your arms out to the side, open up, and then bring your right elbow under left elbow. From here, you can grab your shoulders and give yourself a big hug, or you can interlock fingers or even have hands together in prayer for eagle pose arms, and then you can fold forward. Right? So lots of different options with the upper and lower body. We're going to hold here for 3 more minutes. If you do eagle pose for a minute, eagle arms for a minute, and it gets to be too much, remember that you can do other options with your arms. And you can also just stay upright, right? But you don't have to hold one forever. So in the posture before this, with the upper body sphinx pose, we were opening through the chest, stretching the fascia on the chest and compressing the spine. With the upper body, either in eagle arms or with the hands here, right? You can get more of a stretch to the back rather than a compression by folding forward. And if that going forward is too much, you are welcome to stay upright, no problem. But either way, we're purposely not back bending in this one, right? Because we did the back bend in Sphinx. And as far as the lower body goes, again, with frog pose, we were externally opening the hip. In shoelace or half shoelace, we are purposely internally rotating the hip, right? So we're moving the hip in the different direction. Got about 1.5 minutes left. So if you feel the need to change up what you're doing, please feel free. Otherwise, just holding as you are. And again, just notice how you're breathing and what unexpected part of your body might be carrying tension. Never ceases to surprise me, little nooks and crannies that I didn't even realize were tight or tense until I think about it, right? And if the mind is really having trouble sitting still, just returning to your breath or that intention you set for yourself. Okay. Take your time. If you're folding forward, slowly fold back up. If the arms are wrapped in any way, unwrap the arms. If you want to do any fun arm things here, woo. And then slowly, you know, if your bottom leg is bent, straighten the bottom leg, and then take your time, bring the other leg out, maybe shake out your legs. Okay, then we're gonna turn around for puddle pose. And as you release either onto your back, your side, or your abdomen, dealer's choice, I'm gonna lie on my back. But as you release into your puddle pose, just notice any sensations in the body. Sometimes, you know, we don't feel things until we come out of them. I think that's true in yoga. And I also think that's really true with experiences, including like, just to be, you know, perfectly clear, I believe like we are going through a collectively traumatic experience with COVID. And while we are certainly experiencing some of that trauma in real time, I also believe that, you know, when vaccinations happen and when the curtain is lifted, et cetera, when we go back to quote unquote normal life, whatever that is, there will also be a lot of residual things that we did not allow ourselves to feel until after the fact. Yoga is a nice physical reminder of that, right? Sometimes when you're in the posture, you don't feel it as much as when you come out of it. And sometimes that's not true. Sometimes you come out of it and like whatever, right? But sometimes after you unmold from that long held shape, that's when the body really starts to heal. Okay, bend your legs up, so feet on the floor, knees together. We're gonna roll off to one side, maybe the side you have not rolled off to yet. And then come back onto your abdomen for the other side of half frog Sphinx. Okay, so again, starting in Sphinx, abdomen on the floor, elbows bent, can have your arms a little bit farther forward. And then you're gonna start to bend the left leg out to the side so that one day your knee is in line with your hip and your knee is in line with your ankle. So from a bird's eye view, left leg makes an L or 45-degree angle. Try to keep your right ankle, knee, and hip in line. So notice if the right foot is going way in or out, right? Try to keep it just nice and long. Relax your feet. Push your forearms into the floor, shoulders away from the ears, and hold here as you breathe. Realizing I don't have my phone. Hold here as you breathe, and we're gonna hold here for 3 more minutes. There are some yin teachers who are like so good at very subtly having their phone in the perfect spot and like not, you know, I don't know, it's not a big deal when they hit time on their phone. I'm not one of those people. I'm like, where's my phone? What's going on? So one day that'll be when I really get good at teaching this style of yoga. It's when I can gracefully just hit start on the timer on my phone. That is maybe my goal for 2021. Notice if your shoulders are creeping into your ears. Lift your chest, drop your shoulders. Notice where you're carrying tension in your body. See if you can let it go through the exhale breath. Breathing in and breathing out. As much as the new year is about setting new intentions, doing new things, one of my favorite verbs is to return, right? To return to who we've always been, to return to like the essence of who we are. And I think yin yoga in particular is great at helping us practice this concept of returning, right? So when you notice that you're fidgeting, the mind has wandered, something's popping up, you just gently return to yourself, to the posture, to your breath. Supposedly one day you can take a 60-minute yoga class and be in a meditative state from start to finish. I'll let you know when I get there. Hasn't happened for me since. I've come close. I've glimpsed it a few times. It's beautiful. But there's always that moment for me where my mind wanders or my heart skips a beat or I hold my breath, right? But there's merit to that too, because in that moment when you realize what's happening, you have an opportunity to return. So as much as in the new year, we're thinking about, how can we change? What can we do differently? Also, like, how can you just return to like who you are as a beautiful person that, as much as sure, we always want to be changing our habits in a way that works better. It's still this idea of how can you become a better version of who you already are, right? Rather than changing everything about you. So again, when the body's fidgeting or the mind is wandering, just return to your breath, return to the posture, return to your intention. Have about 10 seconds left. Okay, as you're ready, we're gonna start by straightening the bent leg. Take your time. And then slowly lower down. And again, if belly savasana is not for you, feel free to roll off to the side, either lying on your side or on your back. Otherwise, you can bend your elbows out with your head on the floor, or you can look to one side. You can also have your arms down by your side. Send deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. If you're looking to one side, gently lift your head and look to the other side. All right, and then gently lift your head, look straight ahead, hands to floor. Take your time, push yourself up, find yourself in a seated position for the other side of the shoelace. Okay, so you have your feet out long. Let's see, this time you're gonna keep your right leg straight and bend your left knee on top of your right knee. And at first that might look like this, right? One knee might be very far away from the other, that's normal. Eventually knee's gonna drop. Option to stay here or bend the right leg, so both legs are bent. And again, on this side, your mobility might be quite different. So maybe on the other side, you could bend both legs, but on this one, you need to keep one leg straight. Totally fine. If you have the option to do either, try to do it the same way that you did on the other side for the sake of congruity. So I'm going to keep my right leg straight so that I make sure that I stretch out my right hamstring, just like I stretched out my left hamstring on the other side. And then let's work with the upper body, right? Fun stuff. You can put your hands under your armpits for a nice wrist stretch. Kind of looks like Mick Jagger a little bit. Okay. You can also have your hands on the floor and bend your wrists. So knuckles face the floor, nice wrist stretch. Or you can do eagle arms on this side. So if your left knee is on top, bring your arms out to the side. And this time bring your left arm under right arm. So if left knee is on top of right knee, you want left elbow under right elbow. From here, you can give yourself a hug or can wrap the hands with palms together, thumbs towards your face, pinkies away from your face, or interlock fingers or clasp palms. So when we do the eagle arms, right, when you start by grabbing the shoulders, this is a nice way to open through the shoulder blade scapula and the elbows. If and when you become able to bring your hands together, then you also start to work into wrists. And from here, you can fold forward or stay upright. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes. One of the other things that I love about eagle pose, so some of you have done eagle pose with me in 26 and 2 yoga, and in that version we're standing, right, rather than sitting, so it's a balance of posture as well. But when you move your arms and knees like this, think about the left knee is on top, but the left elbow is on bottom, right? It is incongruent. And that's a nice reminder. Sometimes we think the goal of yoga is like to make the left side look like the right side. Eagle pose in and of itself is an incongruent posture. the opposite joints are stacking, right? Left knee on top of right knee, but left elbow under right elbow. It's incongruent, but it's purposely doing that to twist and open the joints. The eagle arms and legs are a really nice way to open the joints of the body, especially in a seated position. Just gonna make sure everybody's muted. Cool. Great way to open the joints of the body, and especially in a seated position, you don't have to worry about balance, right? So the standing version of this, eventually you would cross your left foot under your right foot. Doesn't have to be today or tomorrow. Notice where you're carrying tension in your body. And just let it go through the exhale breath. Breathing in and breathing out. A little less than a minute left. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Even slower exhale through your nose. Okay, if you're folded forward, start by sitting back up tall. If you have your hands in eagle arms, bring the arms out, or just if you had your wrists in any way, shape, or form, bring the arms out. You can shake out the wrists or do some of this fun stuff. Okay, and then if you have both legs crossed, straighten the bottom leg, and then uncross the top leg. You can wiggle out the arms and legs. And then Savasana, or puddle pose, sorry. Head to the front of your mat, feet to the back of your mat, arms and legs open. Take a breath. So in general with yoga, I recommend breathing through the nose. It helps to calm the central and it helps to calm the central nervous system, right? It takes us out of a fight, flight, or freeze response. That being said, sometimes, especially in yin yoga, when you come out of a posture, if you need to like sigh it out, please feel free to sigh it out. Some of the stuff we do is kind of intense. And when you hold a posture for 5 minutes and then you come out of it, it's normal for the joints to feel like creaky or achy. That is very normal. Often when we come out of these postures, we come out of them and things feel a little bit delicate. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means that like your joints moved in a certain way for a long period of time that opened the joints, but that release from it can be quite intense. All that to say, if the posture coming out of the posture is intense, every once in a while, if you need to just exhale through your mouth, please feel free. Okay, we're gonna take a figure 4 shape on our back. So start by bending your legs if they're not already, feet on the floor, knees resting together. Keep your left foot on the floor, left leg bent. Lift your right leg, right foot off the floor. Bring your right knee to the right, right foot to the left, and place your right ankle shin area on top of your left thigh. So if you look down, you should see kind of a 4 shape with your body. That's why we call it figure 4. Now, if crossing one foot on the other, you're already feeling quite a bit of an opening through the hip and outer right thigh, stay here. Otherwise, start to lift your left foot off the floor and then hug your thighs in towards your abdomen for a nice stretch. This is particularly a good stretch if you ever suffer from sciatic nerve pain. This is your posture, right? It's a great way to stretch that nerve on the outside of the body. Outside of the right thigh, I should say. And we're going to hold here for 3 minutes. Sciatica is really painful, and I do not wish it upon anybody, but it's also like the sciatic nerve to me, this nerve that runs like all the way down the lower leg is kind of a miracle, right? Sometimes we're like surprised when something in our shoulder affects something in our hip, right? Or, you know, a good example would be like you hit your funny bone in your elbow, but then your hands are tingly, right? Sometimes we're surprised, but sciatic nerve pain is a really unfortunate, miserable reminder of like how nerves work in the body and how long some of them are. So of course, if you have a kink in your left shoulder, right, it might affect like the lower back or something like that. Of course, if you hit your elbow, your fingers go numb, right? So just remember that when you're working into a certain part of the body, right? If you're working to stretch out your toes, you're also probably in some way stretching out the back of your leg. If you're working into your hip, you might also be working into the back. If you're working into the shoulder, you might also be working into the ribs, right? Stuff like that. So the body is connected, right? We're connected through joints, tendons, ligaments, bones, skin, nerves, of course. And then the big thing that connects us that we don't talk a lot about is fascia, right? So fascia is this substance that actually like covers our entire body underneath the skin and keeps everything in place, right? So that things don't kind of float away. I remember just a couple years ago, it came out like scientists discover the, you know, the second largest or the largest organ in the body, fascia. And every yoga teacher went, oh, come on, right? We've known about this for a long time. But that's when we talk about, right, when we do long holds of postures. So in figure 4, for example, we're stretching the sciatic nerve, we're working into nerve pain. We're stretching the thigh, we're working into hamstring stretching, right? Muscle stretching. And then we're also opening through the chest, stretching the fascia on the chest. So think about, you know, just lying on your back might not feel like much, but especially if you're one to kind of hunch forward during the day over a laptop, books, food, children. Number one thing we hunch forward over are phones. Simply lying on your back with your chest open is a really nice way to stretch out that fascia, right? So we're not just working into muscle, right? Not just into joints, we're stretching nerves, we're using the fascia, stretching the fascia. Lots of good things happening. About 20 seconds left. Okay, slowly lower your left foot down. Then slowly lower your right foot down. You can keep your knees bent or bring your arms and legs down, puddle pose. And just noticing any sensations as you release out of the posture. Let's do the other side. Bend your legs up, feet on the floor if they're not already. Keep your right foot on the floor. This time, lift left foot off the floor. Bring left knee to left side of the room, left foot to the right side of the room, and place your left ankle shin area on top of your right knee thigh area. Option to keep your right foot on the floor, or for a deeper stretch, lift your right foot off the floor and hug your thighs into your chest. You are welcome to grab your knees. You can bring your left hand in between your legs and then interlace your fingers behind your thigh, or just have the arms out to the side. Again, doing about 70% of what you think you should be doing. So especially my flexi folks who like could bring their thighs all the way into their chest, maybe don't do it today. I mean, you can, right? But you don't have to. You don't have to get the maximum stretch, just something that feels good. Notice how you're breathing. Notice where you're carrying unnecessary tension. See if you can melt into the posture rather than forcing. With every breath, just getting a little bit deeper onto the floor, and let the floor hold you up. A little less than a minute left. Again, just returning to who you are, to your breath, to the posture, maybe to your intention. Okay. If your right foot is lifted off the floor, slowly return your right foot to the floor. Then slowly left foot to floor. Option to stay here with your legs bent or arms and legs down for puddle pose. We've moved the spine right, left, backward, and forward multiple times. Our last active postures of the day will be a spine twist. So the spine moves in 6 different directions, right, left, backward, forward, twisting. I like to finish with a twist. So you can bring your arms out to the side, or you can bend your arms up like cactus or goalposts. You can bend your legs up so your feet are on the floor, knees together. And then you're just gonna roll to the right. So your left hip comes off the floor, roll to the right. So left knee stacks on top of right knee, left ankle on top of right ankle, left hip on top of right hip. Do try to keep your left shoulder on the floor. Option to have your head on the floor or roll your head over to the left, looking to the left side of your body for a neck twist. If you would like an IT band stretch to the left thigh, you can kick your left leg out, and you're also welcome to straighten your right leg. So you can straighten one or both legs, or you can keep them both bent, right? So this spine twist is also an abdominal wall twist. It's good for digestion. Again, by trying to keep that left shoulder and right shoulder on the floor, it is a gentle opening through the chest. And then we're just kind of wringing out the spine at the end of class. One of my favorite teachers always says, like, the antidote to back bending isn't forward folding, it's actually spine twisting. And I really just believe in general that twisting your spine is a really nice way to undo whatever you've been doing, whether it's like folding forward or back bending, right? This wringing out of the spine, almost like wringing out a wet rag, is a really nice way to reset the back. And you might even hear like a pop, right? Almost like a chiropractic adjustment, but you do it yourself. And it's just a shifting in synovial fluid, the gas between the joints and the vertebrae. It's not a bad thing. In fact, some people pay a lot of money for that experience, but it turns out you can just do it through a spine twist sometimes. Okay, if you're looking to the left, gently roll your head back to center. You can place one or both hands on your knees and then carefully roll your left hip back down, arms and legs down, puddle pose. And we'll do the other side. You can bring your arms out to the side or bend them, cactus like goalposts. Bend your legs up if they're not already, feet together, knees together, and this time roll to your left. So your right hip comes off the floor. So right hip stacks on top of left hip, right knee on top of left knee, right foot on top of left foot. Try to keep right shoulder on the floor so your chest is opening to the ceiling. Option to keep your head on the floor or roll to the right so right ear comes down towards the floor for a neck stretch. Again, if you'd like to kick your top right leg out to the left or straighten your bottom left leg to the back of the room, you're welcome to do that. So one of the intentions I had with this sequence of postures is we are very much like opening the hips and then, like externally rotating the hips and then closing the hips, internally rotating the hips, right? So figure 4, we open the hips. This one, we're closing the hips. Frog pose, Sphinx, we did a back bend and we opened the hips, and then shoelace pose with eagle arms, we did a forward curl and we closed the hips. So we're going back and forth, right and left, side to side, of course, but then also opening externally and then closing internally, right? And that can be maybe a metaphor for, being open, right? And then also going back within, right? So we're open to the world, we're making new habits, new changes in the new year, and then we're returning, right? We're internally and externally opening towards ourselves and to our surrounding environment. If you're looking to the right, roll your head back to center. You can place one or both hands on your knees, your thighs, roll your right hip down, arms and legs down, final puddle pose, final Savasana, open your arms and legs. You can close your eyes if they're not already. As you inhale, feel your chest gently rise. As you exhale, feel your chest fall. I mentioned this in Friday meditation, and if you're on my mailing list, I also mentioned this in my email yesterday. But January is named after the Roman god Janus, and Janus is the god of like doorways or archways or passageways, right? He's the god of transition. And he's often depicted as being two-faced, which, we think of as like a bad thing, right? But two-faced in the sense of he has one head in the direction that we have our heads, and then he has one head behind him. And in these archways, these passageways, these times of transition, Janus is both looking back into the past and peering forward into the future. And sometimes I think when we get to January 1st, we're like full speed ahead, we're looking to ambitions, we're looking to that resolution thing, goals, new habits, it's all things new, right? It's only looking to the future. But Janus, who this month is named after, reminds us that January, rather than just being like, everything's new, everything's supposed to be different, right? January is actually very much a month of transition. And a month not just to peer into the future, but also to learn from the past. You are welcome to stay in final Savasana for as long as you'd like. Otherwise, I will slowly start to transition us to a time of journaling and reflection. If you don't want to journal, but you want to stay and listen, you can just stay in final Savasana and listen and just kind of think on the prompts I have. Otherwise, take your time finding yourself slowly in a seated position. If you need to grab pen and paper or a sip of water, feel free. And of course, if this is not your bag, no problem. You can just silently show yourself out, no problem. Otherwise, we will convene in 1 minute for some journaling. I got like really cold at the end of that class. Sometimes moving the body and stimulating the nervous system makes us a little bit shaky. So if anybody else is feeling a little bit cold right now, I'm right there with you. All right. So it's a 15-minute journaling or just reflection session. You don't have to write things down, but I find sometimes writing things down actually helps me work through it. So just to begin with, we are going to start with a simple prompt, which is write down 10 things you're grateful for, or in your head, think of 10 things you're grateful for. Even if you don't consider yourself like a big journaler, I always recommend on a day where things just feel kind of gross, take like 10 minutes to write down what you're grateful for, and things often feel a little bit better, right? We're not like ignoring the bad stuff. We're just choosing to take 10 minutes or so to focus on the good stuff, or for the purpose of today, just a few minutes. So, okay. Once you've written down 10 things you are grateful for, I'm going to share next a very open-ended prompt that you can take however you want to take it. Here's the prompt. Ready? I know my name is. I know my name is. We're going to take 5 minutes to write on this. I know my name is. Allow your pen and your journal or your thoughts, your words to flow freely without judgment. Take about 30 more seconds. And if any of these prompts really speak to you, you're welcome to keep writing on them or just return to them, later today or tomorrow. Okay. Next prompt. I want to return to. I want to return to. We'll take about 2 minutes. I want to return to. Take about 30 more seconds. Okay. Looking to the year ahead, I know I'll need. Looking to the year ahead, I know I will need. Looking to the year ahead, I know I will need. I'm taking 2 minutes. Taking about 30 more seconds. Okay. And the last question, that's not so much a statement, but just a prompt. What would your ideal 2021 look like? Like in the best case scenario, what would this year be like for you? In the best case scenario, if all of your wildest dreams came true, what would 2021 look like? A lot of times when we're in times of stress or trauma or post-traumatic stress, one of the first things to go is imagination. We can't conceive of things that aren't tangibly in front of us. Through yoga, when we bring the body and mind back together, and then through journaling or just intentional thought, we're able to come back to that more imaginative, playful state. So again, in the best case scenario, what would 2021 look like for you? Let's take about 30 more seconds. I'm personally finding that I have a lot more than 30 seconds left to write, but I will honor our time constraints, and you are always welcome to continue journaling. Okay. You are welcome to set your journal aside only for a few moments. Let's finish with just a few intentional breaths. So you can place one hand over your heart space and one hand over your abdomen. You can close your eyes, sit up tall. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. Breathing in, breathing out. As you inhale, feel your heart space gently lift. And as you exhale, let your shoulders fall. I am, that I am, that I am. I am, that I am, that I am. I am, that I am, that I am. Seal your practice however you'd like. If you'd like to keep writing or taking puddle pose or whatever that is, please feel free. And thank you all so much for joining me. It is a delight to be here with all of you. Bye, friends.